Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching us from. I'm your regular host for Connect with Comfort show. My name remains Comfort Eyitayo. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business, enterprise, and personal growth. Each show is a feature with guests who are subject matter experts who helps us to throw more insights into the topic of the day. Today's discussion is on making meaningful connections in times like this. In a world filled with unprecedented challenges and rapid changes, the importance of fostering genuine connections has never been more vital. As we know, even the world itself is interconnected. So must the people living in it. Therefore, as we navigate through these uncertain times, it is crucial for us to explore how we can cultivate meaningful relationships that not only endure, but also enrich our lives and businesses. Today, our desire is to uncover the strategies and insights that would enable us to forge deeper connections while uplifting one another in order for us to thrive very well in the face of adversity. Once again, I welcome each and every one of you to this show and appreciate you for joining us. Please remain connected while we go on a very short break. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Being relevant in your field of occupation is proof that you are properly educated. When my parents and I were thinking about my university education, Bowen University Iwo was our first choice. Bowen University helps you to get the most of whatever course you're studying and also educates you on how to excel in a competitive labor market. From the day I arrived here, I knew when I would graduate, and my mind has been positively transformed since then, thanks to my able lecturers. My name is Salumi. I am a medical student, a sanctuary keeper, and a violinist at Bowen University. To the medical world, remember my name.
Bowen University, for excellence and godliness.
You are welcome back. Thank you for remaining connected. Our guest, who is the subject matter expert for today's topic, is already with us in the house. And she is a very beautiful damsel, for that matter, Adeola Kingsley-James. Adeola Kingsley-James is a beacon of transformation. She holds certification as a therapist and clinical hypnotherapist from the School of Rapid Transformational Therapy in the United Kingdom. Her journey is marked by a profound connection with thought leaders and institutes such as Thought Energy Consulting, Proctor and Gallagher Institute, and many more. Her multifaceted nature as mind genius, seasoned television and content producer, stepmom coach, and best-selling author, helps her to discover powerful insights and strategies on how to foster deeper, more meaningful connections despite the challenges we face today. Please join me in making welcome our special guest of today, Adeola Kingsley-James, to the Connect with Comfort show. You are welcome, Adeola.
Thank you, Ma. Good afternoon. Thank you for
Good
having me here
afternoon.
today.
Thank you very much for sparing time out of your busy schedule to share insights out of your wealth of experience with us today and for the benefit of our viewers out there. Thank you very much. We do not take it for
You're very
granted. We
welcome.
appreciate you.
Thank you,
So
Ma.
without much ado, we'll go straight to our interview section by asking, how do you define meaningful connections in the context of challenging times?
Well, I'll say that meaningful connections for me will encompass genuine relationships built on trust, empathy, and support. Now, these connections go beyond the superficial interactions where we say, oh, that's my friend, but you don't know where they live. You don't even know their surnames. So providing emotional nourishment, understanding, and a sense of belonging. For me, that's what I call meaningful connections. They are vital lifelines that offer comfort and strength, especially during adversity, grounding people in a shared humanity. That's what I'll call it. Somebody that I can trust, somebody that has empathy, and somebody that supports me in every time. That's the kind of person, a safe space, let me call it that. And it's something that we really lack. We have a lot of superficial friendships. And so that's why lots of people are lonely.
Thank you very much. And we can quickly relate that to why we feel we need that to thrive, even in our businesses. Yes, we are talking of human connections. Definitely, we cannot operate in silo, and we need each other. And especially in times of adversity, like we are talking about the challenging times, some people just need listening ear, people they
Mm,
can trust
mm,
and rely on to be able to pour out their mind. Like they say, problem shared is
yeah,
problem half solved. So
mm,
that way they'll be able to be relieved of that burden on their hearts and perhaps refreshed to start on their journey. So it's very, very correct. Like you said, emotional nourishment.
mm,
Money cannot buy that. And that is
mm.
very, very profound. And then that sense of belonging. So thank you very much for that answer. So, what are the common barriers to making meaningful connections during difficult periods?
One, I think the lack of trust. Um, I personally believe that we have been taught how not to air our dirty linen in public. And because of shame, we're afraid to share things with people because we feel a lot of guilt around some of the things that we do and shame because we're consistently comparing and criticizing and all of those things. So I think the first thing is that lack of trust. I think heightened stress levels is also another barrier. Fear of vulnerability, because if I'm vulnerable with you, would you go and tell someone else what I've told you? So there's that. I mean, last week Friday, I decided to share a broadcast with some of the people on my contact. I just felt the nudge to encourage people. My goodness, the amount of responses I got, half of them were saying, oh, we really needed this. Your message just came at the right time. So that vulnerability, and who can I talk to? Sometimes it's physical distance. So because you are far away from me, I cannot connect with you. Sometimes it's communication barriers, maybe the language. Maybe we're not able to share certain things because you don't understand me. There's something I make a joke of, and I say, he said, she heard. Sometimes you say something, but the person hears something entirely different. So that also affects, connections, and of course our daily struggles. It makes the challenges challenging for us to fully engage with people.
Fantastic. In fact, what I just said now is something that needs to be repeated. We are conscious of this, we are aware of it, but sometimes we lose sight of it. And it's very, very key. He said, she heard.
Mm,
So if you are hearing differently, sometimes we already preconceive what we want to hear or what we're expecting to hear. And that is
mm.
what we get to hear. But that's not what is being said. So
Yes.
that can play a major, major role and barrier between having the right connection. Thank you very much for that wonderful insight. So, how can individuals maintain and nurture existing meaningful connections during times of crisis?
I think we need to be intentional about wanting to maintain connections. I think it must start from there. But what I believe is that the first relationship and the first connection that you must have is the connection with yourself. A lot of us are so external. We forget that the internal actually is what drives the external. But because the internal is intangible and the external is tangible, we focus more on the outside than on the inside. So, how do you first connect with yourself to be able to connect with other people? So, you want to prioritize and foster healthy connection with yourself and with other people. You also want to practice active listening. We know how to listen to answer. We don't know how to listen to understand. A lot of times somebody is saying something without you, before they even finish, you already have an answer because you are not listening to understand what the person was saying. So I think if there's an active listening, learning of listening, and I have certain tools that I use for me to also be present with people. And I guess that will be the next thing also, being present, and not on my phone or any of those things, but I'm there. My essence is there. My spirit, my soul, my body, everything is together listening to you. And I guess expressing empathy, regular check ins, virtual and physical gatherings, acts of kindness also would help to maintain and nurture connections.
Hmm. Thank you very much. You have really touched on a particular point that is, I would say, is the current wave,
Mm,
negative wave in this
mm,
age of social media. People actually hardly listen anymore. They hardly listen anymore. Because when you started with, you have to have connection with yourself. I was saying, how do you have connection with yourself? Are you going to be talking and then, okay, listening to yourself or what? But you really nailed it by saying to ensure that you think through, because it is from the internal that the external gets driven. You think through what it is that you want to do. And then this issue of practicing of active listening in the day and age of social media is becoming very, very rare and very challenging. And that therein lies the problem of
mm,
connection.
mm,
Because these days you can have two people in the same room for a whole day and not sharing a word with each other.
mm.
So how do you connect? Everybody is on the phone because when you said for you to really get good whoever you are speaking to or you are me, Adeola? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, the network just went
Okay,
down.
I was just putting a
So I
message
was
that
saying that the points you made is very,
mm,
very germane. In this day and age that you have two people in the same space
mm,
for hours on end, yet there's no communication between them. So how do you connect?
mm,
Communicate. I mean, connection starts with communication. Everybody is busy looking at their phone, and half of the message, even if somebody is talking, is lost
mm-hmm,
because your mind, your totality of mind is not with that person. So it's very, very key for us to note the need to be really attentive and commit, make that intentional effort to commit to connecting with each other effectively, not just superficially. So thank you very much for that insight. In all this, how can we use technology to facilitate or in that meaningful connection during challenging times? Because the
so well, I mean,
technology has come to stay.
yeah, technology can be used to either foster or hinder. It's how you use it, right? It's before technology happened, we existed. So what did we do then that we're not able to do now? So that's one thing that we need to at least look back at and say, okay, what are the things that we were able to do? There was a lot of physical connections. So yes, technology will also enable virtual communication as well. So if we're far away, at least we can still connect virtually, and it will help us to create that bond, whether there's a distance or not. However, I think striking a balance or striking as a balance is key. If we're together in the same house, like you said, why can't we put down our phones? I mean, I most times I'll say to whoever I'm speaking to or whoever is speaking with me, um, give me 2 minutes. Let me just wrap up this thing I'm doing, and I'm going to put my phone away so that I can be present with you. And I also tell people, I'm sorry, I would like to talk to you without your phone. So when you are ready to put it down, let me know so that I can come back. I'm not enforcing anything on you. However, when I want to talk to you, I want you present. Now, it doesn't mean that the fact that they're not on their phones means that they're listening to you. But let me just keep telling myself that you are, because at least you are present and you are focusing on what I'm saying, hopefully, right? And your presence is not taken in different aspects. So I ask for it from anybody that I'm talking to, and I also give it back to whoever is talking to me as well. So it can be good for some things, but I think striking a balance is very key.
That is key, and that's the aspect that you have identified by asking them to put the phone away, because as good as it is, it can be a distraction.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. So how does empathy play a role in fostering meaningful connections amidst adversity?
Well, for me, empathy is validating you, isn't it? It's validating your experiences and accepting that they've happened to you. And not saying, I mean, there's something that we do when somebody comes to share a problem with you, you would tell them how your own problem is bigger than their problem. So really, they shouldn't be complaining about their problem. That's not empathy. Empathy is saying, I hear you, and it must have really hurt. I'm sure if I was in that situation, I would have also have, it might have hurt me a particular way. However, how are we going to come out of it? That's what I'm always looking for. How to give you an option of getting air to breathe rather than focusing on the challenges that have happened, because nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. And because I know that our experiences are based on the meanings that we give to things, notwithstanding, I still validate how you feel, and it will create trust, it will create solidarity, and it will strengthen our friendship. When I say I see you, I hear you, I feel you, right? You feel like, okay, at least she's listening or he's listening, she's here, she's present, and she understands. She might not agree, but she understands, and that's what I always like to bring to the table: understanding.
So the key word here is trust, which I think has been a resounding word in all that you've answered so far, and is very, very key. Trust, solidarity, and understanding. Understanding takes us from ourselves and putting ourselves, so to say, in the shoe of the other person to be able to understand better. So
Mhm.
that is key. Can you share examples of meaningful connections that have emerged or strengthened you during the past crisis?
Well, I've seen some natural disasters that people have gotten up for. So we generally and genuinely, I think, want to always help people as human beings. I think God has put that thing in us to want to always help people. So when people are having challenges, some people death, grief, pain. See what happened with Herbert Wigwe and his family, and see how many people showed up. And that was a real disastrous situation, and so many other. I mean, COVID was also a disaster for a long period, and people came out and showed up for other people. So a lot of times I see that, when there's natural disasters or even community disasters, people get up and show help. And I think that that's very good of us. And it's something that we should keep fostering and keep helping people to do. I remember when the Ibadan bomb blast happened not too far away ago. We formed a group of people who wanted to give them support emotionally as therapists, just for them to have somebody to talk to, and so those are people showing up in times of adversity. Some people were open to it, some people were not, so you give the help and support to those who are open to it, and you pray that the others who are not find support in one way or the other, because the most important thing is that people find the support when they need it.
Very true. And another key example is that NSAS period. That
Hmm.
was very, very
Pivotal,
illuminating
yeah.
too. Yeah. So, what can individual do or strategies they can employ to reach out and connect with others during times of uncertainty or isolation?
Well, I think there's a saying in Yoruba that is a child that carries his hand up that they carry. And so the first thing I think people really need to do is reach out. You've got to, some people are pretending that they're okay. Nobody's going to know that you're not okay if you don't come out and say you're not okay. If every time we say, "How are you?" your answer is, "I'm fine, thank you." Is that really how you feel? Or are you just used to saying, "I'm fine, thank you"? But then deep down you're really, really struggling. So I think we need to be able to come out and be honest with ourselves that we're going through something and we're going through a lot. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I asked a friend of mine, "How are you?" And she said, "I'm struggling." I said, "How do you need me to show up for you?" Just tell me and I'll be there, right? If she didn't say that and she just said, "I'm fine, thank you," I'll say, "Okay, may God be with you." And that's the end of the conversation. But she came out to say, "I'm struggling, And I said, "Okay, do you want to do this way? Do you want to do it?" But then just tell me how you need me and I'll be there for you. So coming out to say you need help, I think is very important. But also, before you do that, I personally believe that before you ask of something from somebody, you are also giving the same thing, because what you give is what you get. If you're a closed person who is not open to helping people when they are going through challenges, it'll be hard for you to ask people to help you because you don't know how to and you don't give it.
Yeah.
So, it starts once again. I always go back to self, because everything you do starts with yourself, what you do to yourself and how you do it. Then it becomes easy to give it to someone else and be there for someone. If you're hard and critical and harsh on yourself, you'll be harsh and critical to other people because you don't know how to do any better. So those little things, being authentic, being vulnerable, coming out to say, "I need help me, egbami." If it's Yoruba, I don't know how to say egbami in other languages, but is that "I beg you," would help us be honest with people. And people, I think people are genuinely ready to help, but you've got to ask for it, and you've got to trust that the universe and people around there really want to help you, not believing that if I share my story, they will do this, or this will happen, or he will insult me, or he will say no, because those are the words that are going on in our heads. That's why we don't ask people. I have people who call me, and the first thing they say is, "Sorry for disturbing you." I ask them, "Did I tell you you're disturbing me?" They'll say no. I said, so how do you know you're disturbing me? Because that's what we are used to. Sorry for bothering you. Did I tell you you're bothering me? So rather than coming out to say, please, have you got 5 minutes? I need to run something by you. I need your help. If I'm not able at that time, I'll tell you, not now, but give me 20 minutes. I'll be there for you. So let's do that. I think it will help. But shout to the rooftop that I need help, and help will always come.
Thank you very much for that good advice. And I think some people really suffer needlessly because of what you have just discussed. The fear of what will people say? People who have seen me to be very okay are now going to see the other side of me and things like that. So that is very true. But looking at the flip side of what you have just rightly described, what on our own side, let's even agree that some people will want to pretend or cover their hurts. How can we, what strategies can we employ to identify issues going on with them? Maybe because the way they look, the way they are responding to your questions and things like that. It may be on the other side for us to prompt us to say, look, I don't really think you are fine, even though she or he may have said I'm fine, but we are seeing more or more beneath that I'm fine to not being fine. How do we, what strategies can we employ to make sure that we reach out to help?
So, as much as we want to help people, you cannot help the person who refuses to be helped. In my job as a therapist, it just is what it is. If people say I'm fine, there's nothing you can do about it. If you say, okay, you're not fine, the person say, how do you know? The way you are sounding. And they're like, this is how I choose to sound. Where are you heading in that conversation? So there's only little you can do when somebody is unwilling, right? But if somebody is willing, there's so many things that we can do. I can say, oh, sometimes there are certain colors that we wear as clothes that don't work, that drown us and make us look sick. We just don't know it. Just like there are certain colors that people wear that make you alive and make you look vibrant. Sometimes it's just that. It's just that what you're wearing, this color that you're wearing has just sucked you in. So when you actually say, are you okay? The person says yes. You might not believe, but they might be right. But it's what they're wearing that has sucked them in and is making them look sick. That's on one angle. The other angle is that yes, they might not be okay, but you are not, they don't believe that you are their solution. There's nothing you can do about it. I speak to women and they say every time I speak to my husband and vice versa, they don't listen. I'm like, they don't believe that you're their solution. So your prayer should be that may they find their solution somewhere. It doesn't have to be you. I don't believe that I'm everybody's solution, but I know that I can help you if you need my help. And so we should first be sensitive, yes. However, you can only help the person who chooses to be helped.
I agree. I agree that yes, unless somebody like Yoruba will say that your hand is, if one hand is paining you and you choose to extend the wrong hand, it is the wrong hand that people will be massaging and pulling while the pain is still on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But like factors that we have identified that may make people to keep their heart in wrap is why I'm just thinking in this way that we may need to involve strategies for, because some people they just need that extra prompting. Yes, it could be what you, maybe the side of the bed you got out from that made you to be depressed for that day. But some people are really struggling and suffering, but because of some of these factors that we have identified, they are not willing to speak out. So we may just need that little prompting. Oh,
Well,
you are
you can
fine.
ask someone else.
Thank God that you are fine, but just know that I'm here for you.
Yeah,
Not,
we can have, yeah, absolutely. I
and
agree.
sometimes that will do the trick. And then you see them, somebody that said I'm fine, you just see that person bursting into tears. You
Mm.
understand? Just
Mm-hmm.
that extra touch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
in as much as yes, you don't even want to push yourself in the face of somebody who is not ready to listen to you, at the same time, well, we can only do that for people we are close with, people we know
Mm.
very well,
Mm-hmm.
so that you
Mm-hmm.
can know when temperature, so in quotes, is changing, and
Mm-hmm.
you know that this there's more than meets the eye. So
Mm.
it's, all in all, it's just to be able to give the needed help, the lifeline.
Sometimes I would tell somebody that I know that that person respects and say, oh,
Okay.
like if it was my husband, for example, I can call a friend of his that I know that he regards. And I can say, your friend is looking a bit funny this morning. I asked him, he said, all is well. But just call him and, laugh with him small. I could do that, because once again, I don't believe that I'm everybody's solution. Maybe someone
Yeah,
else can do
sure.
the trick. So let me ask someone else and see whether that person can reach out to him. So you try different things, like you said, and hopefully one of it works.
So, in this regard, how can community or societal bonds play in creating or sustaining meaningful connection in
Well,
the
I think that it will
line of
create,
what we have?
yeah, I think it will create some kind of sense of belonging and security, and shared responsibility. I always say this, that it takes a village to raise a human being, not a child. Unfortunately, we think, oh, everything we're looking for is in one person, especially when we're married. But the truth is, one person cannot fulfill all your needs, whether you like it or not. So you need a village of people, a support system, like I call it. Maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your father, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's your friend, maybe you need people, right? So if, of course, I mean, then the word trust also comes in again. However, it will help us, with our sense of security, hopefully, knowing that there are others who are there to lend a listening ear or offer practical advice, fosters a deeper sense of belonging and interconnectedness. Everybody needs somebody. We've been created in a way whereby, we cannot do it on our own. So whether, some people will say,
Depend
oh,
on
I
each
don't
other.
need a man in my life. I can do everything by myself. You can't. So the man too cannot do without. We all need to sit down. I think I cracked this joke that men and women need to sit down right now and start to reevaluate where we are. This whole fight of equality, when no human being, even your fingers are not equal. So I don't know why we're looking for equality. And if it's equity we're looking for, then may the best man win. However, we need one another. God has created us for connectedness. And when we were in our mother's womb, we were connected to our mothers for 9 months. So coming out, it hasn't changed. So to now come out and say, oh no, I can do it by myself, I'm an independent woman or independent man, it's impossible. You'll be miserable and lonely. that's
We
that's
need
that's
each
my
other.
opinion. Yeah.
We need each other. That is true. So, how can individuals forge meaningful meaningful connections with a necessity of self-care during times of personal or collective hardship?
Well, there's a need for connection, there's also a need for self-care. So I think one of the first things that we want to look at is boundaries. Setting boundaries, around the things that, we say we need, because a lot of times we actually don't even know what we need. We assume we know, but we don't. And so that's why we're struggling a lot. However, self care is so important. The whole of today, I told myself I'm going to lie in bed, eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and do nothing and not even talk to anybody. I left one room, went to another room, put on the AC, and I laid down. I was listening to some things that were, once I call it filling my cup up. And people will walk in and say, please bring me food. Or I'll call them downstairs and say, please, I want a drink. They'll bring that. For me, that was my self-care and filling my cup up. And I didn't feel guilty in any way, right? There are people in the house. I'll stand up and walk out. Are you people okay? Yeah, good. Peace in the Middle East. And I go back and go and lie down back in my room. I only came out because of this interview. I got up to go and have my bath at 4 o'clock. I set my time to do that. Doesn't mean that I'm not connected to people. I just choose self-care today and no connection. And it doesn't mean that I'm not seeing people and saying hi or whatever. My phone calls, I choose who I want to talk to. And the ones that I don't want to talk to, I don't talk to them until I'm ready to talk to them again. Because if I'm okay, everything around me will be okay. And that's what I've learned in my own personal growth and personal journey. So it's important that we do that. We also need to prioritize our mental and emotional well being. You cannot give from an empty cup. So you've got to fill your cup up all the time so that you can bring your best. There are days, there are weeks where I leave my house for a couple of days and I tell everybody, deuces. I'll catch you guys on Friday. And I'm going to go and be by myself and rest. I fill my cup up so that I can give you my best. Some people may not be able to do that, I understand, but we need those times out. We need it.
Yes.
So that's what I think.
Thank you very much. We'll go on a quick break right now and then be back. Please remain connected.
I was searching, I was looking for meaning. I was wondering, desperately trying only to see I have nothing missing. Who said I have to find who I am? Who said that I am lost to begin with? I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me. Life is a gift, I wanna enjoy it. Always proving my worth only destroys it. I am already enough. Everything I need is within me.
You're welcome back. Thanks for remaining connected. And that is kind of filling our cup. When to fill our cup and relax. Okay. The next question is, what lesson can be learned from historical or cultural perspectives on making meaningful connections
I think they
during
offer
the time of adversity?
I think they offer some good insights. Maybe through traditional rituals, sometimes there is collective storytelling or communal resilience. Cultural practices also could give us a blueprint on building resilience and solidarity. When you've heard that other people went through this and this is what they did to come out of it, because I believe that success leaves clues, then you can also learn from it as well. And so the more we know some of the things that we've done and how resilient we are as people, the easier it is for us to say, okay, if he could do it and if she could do it, I too can. And so for me, I think that's what's good.
That's good. Even from this last point, one of our online audience, Dr. was saying from Abuja, contributed that when we're talking of community support and all that, that family unions, village association, and all students association can also provide support base that can be explored so that you
Absolutely.
just don't stay by yourself and limit yourself to maybe individual. Those are like community and people you have known, schoolmates, you have known them, your unions or village association. So that gives you more comfort to open up to people. So I think we should take that hint. Thank you very much, Dr. Saying, for helping us out with those points. Now, how does the quality of communication influence the depth and longevity of meaningful connections, particularly during turbulent times?
Like I mentioned earlier on, your presence, you know,
Mm,
um, listening to understand, genuine expressions. There's something that I do when people are talking to me, for me to know, for you to know that I'm being carried along. I do a lot of eye contact and head nodding as though, yes,
Yeah.
I hear you, right? So that for me is genuine expression for you to know that I'm with you, looking at you, and sometimes crying with you if the need is, if it's necessary, because the Bible says, cry with those who cry, or mourn with those who mourn, and rejoice with those who rejoice. So depending on how you're able to extend your emotions, you can do that. And even as my work as a therapist, when people are crying and they're telling me sorry, I say, no, you've got to cry, because whatever doesn't make its way through tears will make other body parts weak. So you've got to cry. It's necessary. Vulnerability enhances also, being vulnerable with people, being honest. We have this tendency of always trying to pretend to be something that we're not, or always
Yes.
trying to pretend that all is well when it's not, forgetting that you're not alone. Just like you're going through challenges, other people are going through almost the same challenge in just a different way. So, Yana, you are not alone. So vulnerability also would help with understanding. There's also trust, and it will also help with strengthening each other's bonds. And so we need to test
And
it out. It's not that you
and
meet
also
someone.
sharing personal experiences too,
You
so
can't
that
meet
you know
someone.
it's not just you.
Yeah, you can't. One of the things that I do so well, if you meet me and ask me questions, I'll tell you about my own struggles. And that's why I started to work with stepmothers, because I'm a stepmother, but nobody was there to help me. And so now that I can do better and I know better, I want to help so many other stepmothers so that their journey will be easier. And I start with sharing mine. It was a big problem for my family at the beginning, but I'm like, if I don't put in skin, I can't ask anybody to put in skin. And for me, what's most important is that I leave everybody with their dignity intact. I'm not saying somebody did this and they are this and calling them names. I'm saying this happened. This is what I made it mean. And I suffered for it based on my meaning. And so, those are the things that I think, being vulnerable, being honest, empathy, active listening, and your active
Mm,
presence. I think all those things will help the quality of communication.
that's it. Very, very true. How can organizations, like we mentioned some example, like our audience shared, like old, old school association, churches, and communities. So, how can such organizations or communities foster environments conducive to creating and maintaining meaningful connections among their members during crisis?
Well, maybe they can create some kind of inclusive spaces, like Dr. Hussein said,
As,
school, um, school reunions. Even if sometimes I'm a little bit careful about some of those things, because I'm also very careful about where you share your information and who you share your information with. I'm very protective about the people that I talk to. I only speak to people who I know will edify me and build me and lift me out. I don't speak to
yes,
anybody who agrees that everybody is a bastard and I'm the only good one. I don't speak with such people. Once I come to you and you tell me, I don't mind them, they are all is true. You are the only one. You are the wrong person for me, because you have not really analyzed the situation. And pity parties are the biggest parties that we have, right? But
mm,
pity parties don't help us. And especially because I'm coming from a place where I used to be a chief complainer. All you just needed to say was, Adeola, how are you? Just leave me with the remaining. I can be there for the next 2 hours telling you how everybody is wicked. It's only me that is a great child. So I'm very, I'm very, I protect my heart, but there's so many opportunities.
yes,
Like we said, there's also collaborations. There are people that who are there. They're therapists, they're counselors, they're organizations who create spaces for people to come and say they need help. Use them. There's government organizations who also exist to also give that support. Cultivating that kind of empathy and a place where people can go to. So there are opportunities. Sometimes you can just use your house and say, you know what, every 2 Sundays I will invite people to come over to my house for a drink, it's once again, it starts with you. I will invite people. I do it sometimes. I'll say, you know what, come to my place. Let's just sit down by the pool and just talk. Maybe there's something on your mind. Just come. If you don't have anything, don't worry. We'll buy, even if it's drinks. How hard is it to buy drinks and biscuits? But at least by the time you are leaving, you'll be lighter, and you can face another week. So as much as possible, be a friend so that other people will be your friend, right? Give that support so that other people too will support you as well. Because I believe that what you sow is what you reap.
Okay. Yeah. That is very true. I guess in any of the community or association, even those that set up organization purposely to, what would we call them now? Purposely to listen to people. You just have to make your own judgments, because even right in the church, you have counseling uh, department
Department.
or people. Some
Mhm.
people, some people, you will look at them once or twice and think twice that, do I really want to share
With this
my
person,
information with? So
especially when
you
the person has told you another person's story.
exactly, exactly, you will need to look at the makeup of
Mm,
such a group to
mm.
know and to determine the extent of what you share.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
also very good, because you don't want to create another problem while
Yeah,
trying to solve one problem. So
absolutely.
it's very correct that we also have to be mindful. Reaching out is very good. Sometimes, like you just said, you may just gather with some people and not even having to share anything. But the fact that you are in an atmosphere that you can just at that moment
Be.
box
Just
whatever
be.
your problem is and let off steam, that can even reduce half of your problem. You may not
Yes,
share in details what is wrong with you, but you have people that you can fellowship with and just throw
yes,
banters and then have a lifting moment. That can also help.
yes. Somebody,
So
all they just need is a hug.
yes,
It's just a
yes.
hug. Yeah.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes
Yeah.
they just argue and you see tears rolling down without
Yeah.
even exchanging words.
Anything.
So
Exactly.
you have to find what works for you.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned this, but I just want to ask in this particular question, what role does vulnerability play in forging deeper and more meaningful connection during challenging times?
Vulnerability is like the door to deeper connections. It's like when I give you access to be able to open a door and walk into my life, right? I'm able to share everything with you, where it's you being authentic, sharing your experiences and your emotions. One, it creates reciprocity and authenticity. And for me, what kind of friendship are you looking for again if you cannot reciprocate? Oh, when you tell me this, I feel safe with you. There's something I used to do with my clients, especially if I'm working in a large group. The first thing I say is, I want us to have three agreements. One, this is a safe space for all of us. And so that means whatever happens here stays here.
Yes, in this
And if
room,
we're
yes.
ever going to repeat it, but yes, if we're ever going to repeat it after each other, we're going to be saying it in love and we're using it to build each other up, not to tear each other down. So for me, it's being able, in fact, me as a therapist, people wonder how I keep the information that people tell me. I tell them I don't keep it. In fact, in a week's time, if you come back to me, I'll ask you, please, can you remind me what you told me? Because for two reasons, I want to be able to let
Free
it
your
go,
mind.
because one, for human being, I don't need all that information, but although also it's so that I can remain a safe space for you no matter what. So people feel so, in fact, some people say that I have a magic spell that I make them confess things to me that they normally would not confess. I say yes, because I'm interested in your well-being and you can see it. So that's why you will share certain things with me. So I think that that's a big thing that we should look at, being able to be vulnerable and authentic and just be honest. Come out. What's the worst that will happen? Okay, they told your story, but the question is, did you get healing at the time? A lot of times, maybe. So is that not better than carrying all that problem in your heart? If that person has a small mind or is not mature enough to handle your information, well, what you then do next time is do better due diligence as to choosing who you should be speaking with. But the fact is that you got succor at the time, and it helped you. So we should never be afraid of being brokenhearted or hurt by people, because if you are, whatever you fear the most will come upon you. I would rather know that whatever I share with people is safe with them and they're able to be there for me regardless of who it is.
Thank you very, very much. You've been so wonderful. Great insights that you have shared with us today, and I'm sure we're better for it. People might be wondering why this, when we're talking of business. Definitely, you need a peaceful mind to run your business. You need sanity, and even the connection that we're talking about will also help you in your business, because there are some ideas you get from each other, that helps us to to thrive. So definitely this is very, very important, both for our well-being and for our business concern. So I want to appreciate you highly, our special guest of today, Adeola, for doing us the honor to be here and to share this great insight. In fact, it's like we should just stop the clock and then go on and on if it were possible. But if you don't mind, maybe one of these days we still keep come calling. If you will not
No
consider
problem.
us as Oliver Twist, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your time and the knowledge shared today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
And you. So we'll quickly go on a very short break and be back for our wrap-up session. Please remain connected. Okay, we'll just continue because of time. For today, we've had some of our online audience, Yomi, Napo, Beru. I hope I call your name. I didn't murder it. Please forgive me. Taiwo Joe, our regular from Abuja, Dr. Ebela, saying that has also contributed during the discussion. Thank you very much. We had Odi Veronica joining us also from Lagos, and Mayor also joining us from Lagos. Thank you all for staying connected with us. And we will just quickly wrap up because our guest has really shared a lot of insight. She has made us to understand the importance and the meaning of connections, and the importance is to provide support, comfort, and sense of belonging amongst others. We it's we also need to see how it helps us to adapt to changing circumstances. We need to acknowledge the unique challenges posed by current circumstances, such as social distance measures or remote work arrangements, and adapting our communication methods to maintain connection despite all these challenges. We also need to embrace technology, because technology allows us to still remain connected through virtual means like this video calls, social media platforms, online communities, and all. We also need to prioritize our relationship. This has been um, made very clear by our special guest. and we also need to take care of ourselves. So do not feel guilty to take care of yourself, because you have you need, like Yoruba said, the okun inu, the internal strength that will help you to drive the external priorities. So you need to take care of yourself. Authentic communication also involve being showing empathy, showing that you are available, you are listening genuinely to the person that you are talking to or communicating with, so that the base element of trust will be there. If you see, if you are talking to somebody and you are diverted doing other things, that person is not likely to take you serious. So we need to make sure that we have effective communication, find common ground, try to show understanding, identify with the issue that is being raised. You may share your own experience, but not in the sense to demean or underplay the problem that the person is sharing with you. We need to support each other. It is very important. We should also create the and cultivate the heart of gratitude. Like she said, our guest said, what you need to do to you, you also have to need to do to others. If you have not been a giver, you cannot expect to receive. So you also have to be good to others if you expect good things in return. I'm sure that we've learned quite a lot from what she had shared with us. Time will not permit going through all of them. For today, I want to appreciate all of you joining us, contributing. And as we navigate through uncertainty, may we continue to prioritize empathy, kindness, and understanding in all our interaction. Let us continue to foster bonds that uplift and support each other, forging a path towards resilience and hope. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Continue to like and share our videos, connect with us, and press the notification button to stay updated with information about our upcoming events, solutions, and offers on my Instagram account, Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. Till I come your way again, let us continue to build stronger, more compassionate communities and enterprises that no matter what the future holds, we will continue to thrive. God bless all of you. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Samson Ajibade. I noticed that you just joined us. And oh, my Reverend Kule Oyeleko, thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you very much. God bless you all till we meet next week. Please remain connected with each other. God bless.